Good evening. Good evening, Peter. Welcome to the show. We're kicking off very shortly. We're going to be doing predictions for 2027, and there's going to be we're going to be doing it with of course with the tarot cards, and we'll also be doing it with by birth number. So I'm just sorting out my audience on YouTube. If I can manage to do it. Okay, cool. So now that's all done. So yeah, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. Hope you're all having a lovely evening from wherever you're watching. We're going to now kick off predictions for 2027. And we're going to do this by birth number. So the first reading will be for birth number 1. So that's if the day that you're born on, if it adds to 1. So for example, if you're born on the 10th of any month, you're a birth number 1. If you're born on the 28th of any month, for example, 2 plus 8 is 10, which adds up to 1, because 1 plus 0 is 1. So we're going to start off with 2027 predictions for birth number 1, all the way up to 9. So it could be a long show. And then, of course, if there's any personal readings in between, and then of course I will do those personal readings. But my aim is to hopefully do the predictions for 2027 on this show. And if you want your birth number to come earlier, out of order, then please message in the chat, and I will do my best to bring it up and do it earlier. Okay. And I'll do one more card. So this is a what am I doing? So blanked out. So I'm starting off with the 2027 predictions for birth number 1. So that's if your birth day, the day that you're born. So for example, if you're born on the 10th or the 28th or the 1st, if your number adds up to 1, then you're a birth number 1. So for example, 28, 2 plus 8 is 10, which 1 plus 0 is 1. So yeah, and same goes for 10. 10, if 1 plus 0 is 1, and of course 1 is just 1. Okay, cool. So we have the 6 of Swords, 3 of Pentacles, both reversed. And we also have the High Priestess reversed. So before I do go into the reading, I'll tell you a little bit about number 1s in general and how they are as people. So number 1s, they like leadership through diplomacy. They build alliances and then they lead. And they're quite, they can be impatient at times. And in terms of 2027, what I think is, this is, again, this is my opinion. So I think the quarter three of 2027 will be really good for them. You know, they want independence. They want to initiate a new idea, but the way they go head on with things. And this time, I think 2027 wants them to be a bit more calmer, a bit more less aggressive with their approach and strategy, rather than trying to be cheeky and getting their way. It's important for number ones to uh, not be cheeky and be humble, and genuinely try to persuade someone if they want their way. Um, they should, ideally in 2027, they should try to get away with the idea of being the lone wolf, trying to do everything on their own. They should become a lot more organized and a lot more visible. So, for example, if they're part of a wider team, they ought to be part of that team, and by all means they probably will be the center of that team, but it's really important that they don't just wander off and do their own thing or be like, I can do it on my own. So the first quarter of the new year, it's all about building relationships and testing any new ideas that they may have. And then the quarter three is the strongest. You know, it's more of a reset window. They kind of relaunch themselves. There's a lot of new leadership opportunities. It could be a new job. Maybe you're starting a consultancy firm, or perhaps you're getting some sort of promotion into a leadership thing. I mean, you could be the next PM. You never know. So, but the important thing I'll emphasize again: they need to be soft with their strategy. They need to be genuine with their strategy. They're really fun people. They're very, um, they're very methodical. They take things step by step and they don't miss anything. So, you know, the main risk for number ones this year, next year, will be thinking too early, and even you know, when someone interrupts someone, they just blurt something out. Number ones are very likely to do that next year, so they need to be careful that they don't do that, and they need to stop thinking that asking for help is a sign of weakness. They need to stop asking them. They need to stop thinking that, you know, just because you're working with someone or you're doing something together, it makes you weaker or it makes you look less smarter than you are. So that's why it's really important for number ones next year to be very, very humble. So these are the cards for birth number one, 2027 prediction. We have the high priestess reversed. We have the three of pentacles reversed. Then we have the six of swords reversed. So I feel like because number ones are such strong leaders, and even here with somewhat of the traffic light, it clearly points towards them needing that patience. They need that sort of structure that tells them, you know what, wait. And that's why it's really important for them next year to be organized. Um, so usually with number ones, they can get away with not knowing things, but just the charisma, the confidence that they carry, the way they carry themselves. But next year, they're, I won't say exposed, but they would really see that that technique of theirs or that strategy of theirs is not really working out. Um, and again, like I said, with my general thought about them, the cards also relay that too, that, you know, the I'll do it myself attitude isn't really going to work anymore for them. So with the with the high priestess reversed, you know, it says their intuition is being blocked. So if you are really good at it or something, and you trust your gut, this time, especially in quarter 1, it will be really important. So the first couple of months of the next year, it's really important that you calibrate your intuition, you calibrate your mind. Um, Otherwise, the of course, which is quite, which makes sense. So the later on you go in the year, it'll be more out of sync. So you really need to um, stop ignoring that and take a reset, and don't think you'll get away with things the way you used to, because you're really going to be challenged this year. You're going to feel challenged, not this year, sorry. You're going to be challenged in 2027. And I think carrying on the energy from 2026 into 2027, there might be some unsolved relationship issues about, maybe it could be someone in the workplace, or some sort of plan. But it's like you already know the truth. So I think towards the end of the year, something that you already know will become quite prominent, will become stronger, with evidence that you already knew the truth anyway, but you didn't trust your gut. And with the Three of Pentacles reversed, it says you're very likely to have teamwork issues. It could be poor communication. It might just be that the team is not the right fit. Maybe you're not feeling supported, and also maybe that you're trying to build something with people who aren't on the same frequency as you, on the same page as you. Because number ones, you're highly talented people. You want to get stuff done. You're leaders. Your ruling planet, if I'm not wrong, is the sun, and you want to just go out there and probably just enlighten everyone, share your knowledge, and you carry that fire with you. But it's going to be really important that the people that you work with in 2027 understand you. Otherwise, you're just going to feel really, there's that photo of a, is it? I think it's a garlic peel or an orange. Well, let's just say it's an orange, and they fit a garlic peel in there. Just because you fit there doesn't mean you belong there. So, so just think about that when if you're starting something new, a new job or a new venture, or maybe it could be anything. But the people around you might not be with the same energy as you. So it's important to make sure that you make your boundaries clear. And if you can already feel it, then maybe just step back and be like, what, this is not for me. I say always, your mental peace is priceless. And then with the Six of Swords reversed, um, it echoes what I've just said. Your mental peace is priceless, um, because it says that in 2027 you'll be struggling to maybe move on from something. You might be repeating the same argument in your mind. You might be going through the same emotional cycle. You'd be somewhat mentally stuck, or maybe you're repeating the same bad decision again and you keep replaying it in your mind. So this calls for acceptance. You ought to bring acceptance in your life. If you bring acceptance in your life, you'll be able to move on with your life, and you won't be mentally stuck there. And hence why 2027 for you might feel like a real challenge, because now you're actually feeling things, and you're not just getting away with your charisma or that. Um, what's it called? I won't say facade, but just the outer layer of you. This time you're going to be doing a lot of thinking, a lot of um, reflective work, a lot of real feeling, and not just pretending to be someone that you're not. Um, so for number one, it's more of a correction year, is to go over everything. Well, you are going over it anyway. I bet you towards the end of this year, your buttons in your mind are going to start clicking. Um, you know, Everything that you think you can do on your own, or that independence that you love so much, it's all going to be reversed. You're not going to get that independence. You're not going to have that leadership. You'll have to make your mark. You want that leadership. You crave it so much, and it comes naturally to you. So I don't blame you. It's part of who you are. but you'll be challenged. If you really want to showcase your skills, your talents, you will really need to adapt and learn those new skills that you're missing. Because a leader, if you're a leader, you should be able to adapt to any situation, any kind of person, any kind of task, or whatever comes your way, and be confident. So you already have the leadership skills already, right? You have the basics. But now 2027 is going to kind of upgrade you to become one of the best leaders. And going into 2028, trust me, you guys are going to be in the position you want to be, and you're going to be doing the things that you love to do. But 2027, it is definitely a year where you will be a lot more closed off from the world and people in general. And also in terms of career, that you need to pretend, you need to stop pretending, as I mentioned before. But sometimes your team is weak, and it's awfully difficult to carry them forward. So in that instance, in that instance, number one, is you need to kind of be honest with yourself and with your team and create that clear direction. But those boundaries will come into play, and you being organized will also help you with that. In terms of finance and money, in 2027, you need to stop spending impulsively, especially in on investments or so-called investments. You know, you have this thing where you want to prove that you're right or you're capable. Yes, we already know that you are. There's no need to prove it. So if something around money comes up where you have to prove yourself, I'd suggest that you don't get involved. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you do need financial advice, there are organizations out there that can help you. Love wise, with your partner or relatives or family, you feel like your communication is blocked. The people, the someone that you want to talk to or have that relationship with, you feel like they're emotionally unavailable, they're silent. um, the responsibility also falls on you to listen. Listen, not to just say what you want to say, but genuinely understand the other person's concerns, and not just react. So it's important that you pause before you act on anything, choose the right people, and definitely try not to, drag old baggage or, past thoughts into, of course, the new year, but at the same time into your other areas of life. So this was a reading for number ones, and very shortly we'll be moving on to number twos. Thank you everyone for joining. Hope you're all having a lovely evening. So I'm just doing 2027 predictions by birth number. So that was for number ones, and then we'll be doing a prediction for number two, and so on till number nine. Apologies, was I just checked YouTube. So number twos, if I'm not wrong, are ruled by the moon. Very emotional beings, and they carry a lot of emotion. I mean, of course, people have emotions. I'm not saying that, but they kind of quite sensitive people. They pick on body language. They pick on the genuine vibe of the person. So if something's wrong, they'd know. You might not have to say it. Your face might not show it. They would just know that something's off. And number twos are brilliant in terms of that. So I always say, for fun, ask anyone, if you're whoever you're working with, a colleague, or whatever it is, when's your birthday, and then do some research on your birth number, their birth number, and the compatibility. It's quite interesting what you might find, and then of course. Psychology also plays a part. So what you've read, you'll interpret it into that their core behavior, etc. But it is nevertheless still very interesting to just learn um, personality traits of numbers. But from what I've learnt and what I know and what I've seen, number twos are really outgoing people. Sometimes they can be very, very self-obsessed, but that's probably only a phase for them. Um, but they don't back away from a challenge. They certainly do like um, not to prove themselves, but they'll 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 show you what they can do when you least expect it. Okay, so before we do go into the reading, let me just put the cards. Eight of Wands, oh, the Nine of Wands, and we have the Four of Pentacles. Okay, they're all reversed as well. And for me, they are. For you, they're not. I think. So for number twos, a lot of the theme in your in 2027 is going to be about partnership, business related, love life related. It's going to be all about deepening relationships. So perhaps if you're bringing more clients, or if you're already in a relationship, or maybe if you're already married, you'll be probably making a lot more effort, and you'll also be um, strengthening that bond that you have. But the thing with number twos, as it is, and oversensitive, be very oversensitive, and that may cause issues, and which will also lead to you being very indecisive. The best quarters of 2027 for number twos will be the first one and the third one. Um, so with number twos, this is my general prediction before I go into the cards, is that a lot of 2027 will be about meditation for you. It'll be about harmony, emotional intelligence. So you're working on your strengths. So 2027 is going to be a banging year for you. Um, so, but also what's going to be happening is that you'll feel very validated. You'll feel very seen, and that's something new for you because you're always usually behind the scene. And you are, yes, you're dealing with people, but you're never the center of attention. So this coming year, you'll be there. You'll be the face of the thing, and you'll be quite positive in terms of the impact that you as a person will have. Will be very, very important. And if you're working for yourself, and if you're working for yourself, you'll bring a lot of clients in, and you'll deepen those relationships. If you're working for a company and you're very client facing, the the reviews or the feedback that the clients give will be very, very um, well, the impact will be positive anyway, but they will lead you to have, let's say, you could get an offer from them, or you might get a very big bonus, or you could get a promotion. So you'll be feeling like a completely different person, to say the least. No, if I'm not wrong, 2027 is 2 plus 2, 4 plus 7, it's 11. 11 adds up to 2. So, of course. Um, so if you're thinking of maybe applying for a government job wherever you are, maybe like we have the foreign office where you're dealing with different countries, different people. I would definitely recommend you apply for that, because you would do really well, because it builds on your emotional intelligence, it builds on you being organized, and it also builds on you being very strategic with the things that you do. So in the first quarter, you establish trust in those relationships, and then in quarter three, those bonds then deepen, and you later, especially in the middle of the year, but also towards the end of the year, you will reap the fruits of those relationships. Um, One thing where I did mention oversensitivity, what will happen is some things, as always, as it happens in life, one or two things might not go your way out of the 100, and you'll start feeling ungrateful, and you'll be like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And why always me? But it's not a setback. You're just learning from it, and it's again. I mean, you should be grateful for those experiences because it kind of grounds you. It humbles you. So all in all, 2027 for those of the birth number two is looking very positive and very busy in a nice way. So make sure you give your family time as well. So going back to the reading now, we have the Eight of Wands reversed. We have the Nine of Wands reversed, and then we have the Four of Pentacles reversed. I'm saying it from my perspective because the cards are reversed to me, but of course, I think on the screen they're probably looking um, upright to you. So with the Eight of Wands, it's again relationships. You're bonding. You're coming together. It's full of color. It's full of light. So those relationships are going to be very very fruitful. But again, too much of something isn't really good. So it's important that you set your boundaries. And even with the Nine of Wands, I mean, I'm just going off what I see right now. Is like you're building those boundaries. You're not good at building them right now. You are struggling with them, but you're building them slowly. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone's played um, Modern Warfare Zombies. I mean, it's probably a crazy example, but in that game, you have zombies coming at you and you're building a fence or taking the fence off to eliminate them. So it's almost like that. You're building that fence, but sometimes the boundaries, you're letting go of them quicker than you're able to sort of build on them. So it's important that you stay firm in your decision and in your boundaries. Um, so and then with the nine of wands again, I can understand you're tired of explaining yourself, and in 2027, that sort of carries on a little bit, but it's important that you stick to your boundaries and don't explain yourself. Be like, I've done my bit. I'm happy with where I am and who I am. If you don't like it, by all means, stay on the other side of that fence. Um, and you need to start putting yourself forward first and stop carrying everyone's um, emotions, and that's what I meant. That you carry a lot of emotion, and sometimes a lot of it's unnecessary. It's like your phone memory. On your phone, you have so many photos of the same thing, or a lot of unnecessary photos of maybe a product we liked like 10 years ago or something, and it's just sitting there. And that's what it is with number twos. They're holding on to every little bit of someone or something. But also, there might be some travel opportunities as well next year for you. And then the Four of Pentacles, you're holding on to something, and I think there's a lot of fear of some reason, old sort of, you know, like you need to let go. Essentially, that's the message. You need to let go, but you let go of those old emotions, like I said, but also some old people, as in not by age, but like those that you've been with for a long time, are not serving you. I'm not saying that in a selfish way. By that I mean that maybe they're not on the right path. They're not on the same mind. They're not on the same frequency or in the same mindset as you. You're looking for growth, you're looking for peace, you're looking for happiness, you're looking for a challenge, but they might not be matching your um, plans, they might not be matching your mindset, and hence why I think you're tired of explaining yourself again and again and again. With career and money, new opportunities will come in 2027. A lot of collaboration, a lot of collaborations, a lot of teamwork will happen. You'll enjoy that. There might be an opportunity to step outside the scope of your expertise. And again, that would be brilliant because you're going to meet some wonderful people, to say the least. Um, but having said that, just be careful of not accepting everything to make people happy. Look at yourself, look at your schedule, and see what you actually want to do. And please do not say yes to things just because you're worried you might miss out on something. That's not important. It's what is important is what you um, feel, what makes you happy, and where you want to spend your energy. So finally, in terms of love and relationships, that communication barrier that was there, it's slowly breaking away. I think for a long time you've been waiting for someone to message you or explain an event or something of their decision, um, that they did or said, and that's going to happen in 2027. I think they're going to um, tell you what happened. You probably know what happened anyway, but I think it's more of a courtesy, and they will come back. But with the Nine of Wands um, reversed, I think maybe you're tired um, to of that person, of that situation. So I think just be careful before you let them in or go back to old habits or old sort of, when you're in that moment, you're in that moment. But once you're out of that moment, you wake up and be like, oh my God, no, I don't want to be in this sort of situation. Listen in relationships. But again, like I said to you, your boundaries are very, very important. So, number two, that's your predictions for 2027. You've got some great stuff coming up ahead, but you need to be a lot more confident in your ability to handle your boundaries. Put yourself first rather than other people, but also don't just keep saying yes to things to people, please. Or just in case you're scared, you might miss out on something. Money wise and career wise, you guys are doing brilliant. You'll have a lot of teamwork going on, a lot of traveling opportunities, and a lot of networking. So for number twos, a very nice year ahead of you. Next year will be brilliant for you. 2027. So that was the 2027 predictions for number twos. And now we'll be moving on to number threes. So I think if you're born on the 30th, the 12th, probably forgetting one. Um, but yeah, so if your birth date, the day you were born, adds up to a 3, then you're a birth number 3. Okay, so we'll be moving on to number threes very shortly. But in the meantime, if anyone likes a private reading or a personal reading, please feel free to um, visit the shop. Or if you want a particular collective reading, then please do mention your topic of choice in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to do that. So, number threes. Number threes are ruled by Jupiter in terms of astrology. They're ruled by Jupiter. So, for number threes in 2027, it'll be very important that you um, are in control of your thoughts and your energy, because I think you'll have a lot of scattered energy next year. But having said that, it makes sense. Or there's a method to the madness with number threes. Um, you'll have a lot of opportunities to be creative, to do creative communication. So if you're in marketing, or if you're in that sort of advertising space, or content writing, creation, anything creative, you'll have so many opportunities coming up. And that too, those opportunities that come in, they won't be random. They will be related to your choice of interest, your values, the things that you believe in. So it will feel very wholesome, to say the least. And those opportunities would come in uh, teaching, so drama, if drama or theatre as such, or even music, writing, painting, so anything creative, anything you're doing. I mean, maths and English can also be creative. To say that even science is creative, but what I'm trying to say here is that you will be unleashing your creative side in 2027 and kind of achieving things or even doing things you thought once were impossible. So, so yeah, very. But all of that, yeah, that's a very strong, you know, I say prediction, but a vibe. I think it's a vibe. Number three are just special kind of people. Sometimes they're forgotten about. But yeah, but all of that's only possible if you don't scatter your energy because you'll have so many opportunities next year. You probably won't be able to decide what you'd like to do, what you want to sort of give up on. You'll be fully booked as such. For example, even if you're a healer or if you're into like massage or if if you do like tattooing or you're a tattoo artist or you're a makeup artist or nail artist, manicure, pedicure, all of those, the whole package. That's also creative. So don't think it's not because you might come up with a new strategy, you might come up with a new product. But yeah, you'll do really well, number threes, next year. Um, Here we go, the star. Fantastic. See? And then the chariot. I think this is the scattered thoughts as such. But again, if you look at the theme, it's creative, it's color. It's very like, how do I say it? It's not so silently positive. Like you are just happy, to say the least. But again, there might be some turning points or decision points, and again, that could be to do with who do you give your time and energy to, which clients do you choose, what business should you do, what job should you accept, because you guys are going to be very, very popular next year. Okay, so we have the star, we have the chariot, and we have the five of cups. That too all upright. Again, from my perspective. It's gorgeous. I think this is brilliant. So yeah, with the star number threes, it's like you will be the star for sure, I tell you that. But I think that creativeness that I mentioned, that will uh, that creativeness will bring you that fulfillment I think that you've been looking for a very long time. So if I may, an idea that you can do, and I think that an idea that you would be very good at, is to perhaps focus on an idea that helps others make sense of their emotions, relationships, or uncertainty. So maybe becoming a psychologist, a doctor, maybe, or a counselor of some form, maybe a life coach, or a health coach, sports coach, anything to do with that sort of thing, personal trainer. So if you're thinking about studying into any of those things, start now, and you will definitely be sorted by the time you start in 2027. So for those of you that are just joining us, this is the birth number three prediction for 2027. We have the star upright, we have the chariot, and then we have the five of cups. So yeah, so look into those fields, start studying for them now in order to be ahead of the game next year. The five of cups, I think you'll have a lot of freedom with what you do, and I think you're breaking away from uh, people that don't really. Um, I mean, you already know they're not really good for you, but now it's just like, yeah, I'm certain now. So the number three is usually linked with communication, expression, creativity, humor. You guys could be amazing stand-up comedians. I'm not surprised if your friends or even your significant other keeps telling you, "Oh, you're really funny. You're really funny," because you guys, can be hilarious. You have this art of like you can play with words so nicely. So number three is expression, creativity, humor, content, any sort of content, creation, writing, copywriting, speaking, your social energy. It's, you'll be out there, you'll be the star of the show, to say the least. So that confidence that you've been missing this year, that sort of belief in yourself, when you look in the mirror and you're like, where have I gone? Where have I disappeared? It's all coming back. And with the chariot, there's movement, there's progress, but there's crossroads at the same time. It's quite important for you to be disciplined. I think it'll come quite naturally after you find that confidence. There'll be a career push, and now you're finally taking control um, of the decisions that you want to make and that you've been putting off for a very long time. And you're not waiting for things to just magically fix themselves, which is brilliant. But again, remember, don't scatter your energy, focus on one thing, finish it off, and move on to the next. Or have a clear plan that you're able to follow. So, and then with the Five of Cups, you know, with having said all of that, and you having a nice, having sort of the best year of your life, there will be something that wouldn't have gone your way this year or last year, and that's, I think, a relationship that was unexpected to break. It broke. Could be a friendship, or maybe you're thinking about someone that got away. You're the one that got away, so you have that regret. Um, or there's an event or something that didn't go your way, and you're really still stuck on that. So number three is for you to, you know, really get all of that success that's waiting for you. You would need to let go at some point, um, because focus is really important for you next year. You cannot afford to not focus. Like horses, they have those. I don't know what they're called, but the thing that they wear on their eyes so they just look straight. I think that's important. You need not tunnel vision as such, but you need to keep your eyes on your path, and maybe the golden path can help you with that. But yes, you need to keep your eyes, eyes on the prize, sort of thing. So the summary of your career, like I said, if you focus, the sky is the limit, literally. You'll have visibility, you'll have an amazing audience. Anything to do with social media, creative work, beauty work, healing, spiritual work, teaching, or anywhere where you're speaking and where your voice matters, where your opinion matters, where you're giving clarity, um, you will do really well. Money will improve, but it'll improve when your focus improves, which will mean your consistency will improve. So money is waiting for you. That prize is there. It's just up to you how long you want to take to reach to that goal. So in love and relationships, finally, there is healing, but that healing comes as always after that letdown. But I have a feeling someone is thinking about you and also thinking about what they did wrong. But you need to stop comparing your current situation and the past. But don't just let that one disappointment, don't let it hold you back, because you are 100% better than that. You're destined for great things. So next year is going to be an absolutely